The world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the We Grow Our Show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show. Get your grow on.
Well, welcome back to the We Grow Our Show. We've the dynamic duo is knocked down to just one dude, we'll say. We do have a guest here in studio, Dan Punch of, let's see here, the Punch Honeybee Company is joining me. He's here a little bit early, so we'll get into the interview with him. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of background story on yours truly, because I know y'all are just dying to hear from me and know where I come from and all that good stuff. Born and raised in Southwest Wisconsin, farming's been in my blood since I could walk. My dad still runs about 200 acres in Southwest Wisconsin. My uncles run a couple thousand together, and we've been at this animal husbandry and tilling the land and doing that stuff for a long time. And it's funny, you move into the city and you get away from all of that, and it still finds a way to rear its ugly head, if you will. I moved into an HOA, a little house that's basically run by, I'm pretty sure the Third Reich is in charge of my HOA board. I'm not sure, but you can only do so much in an HOA, but that didn't keep me from starting to grow my own food. And, I got about 5 rabbits a few years ago, and 1 male, 4 females, and after a little bit of time, we had about 50. And my little itty-bitty backyard, about 1/10 of an acre, was producing 250 baby rabbits a month, about 1,250 pounds of live rabbit. So it was pretty substantial numbers from a little backyard. And not a whole lot of work. I mean, I was probably spending half an hour out there, but 5 minutes of that was actual work. The other 20, 25 minutes was me playing with the bunnies. And it was funny when the numbers were hitting 700 babies a month. The time per day didn't increase. My efficiency did. So anyway, that's a little bit of a backstory on me. And most of you know I work a day job. And this has been just kind of a hobby getting this going. But we're getting to the point where rabbits are taking over my life, and I'm going to have to move that direction eventually. But in studio, we do have Dan Punch, and he was also in the situation a little over a year ago, was it?
Just about a year ago, yes.
Okay, so why don't we get a little bit of background on you? Where you come from? What's this bee thing? What got you into it?
Basically, I was in accounting. I was doing corporate accounting for a company, and suffered a layoff back in, I think, 2011.
Okay.
And I have always been interested in outdoor stuff and gardening and things like that. And I owned a landscaping company that helped put my wife through college. And then we ended up moving from Oklahoma out to Arizona. And we were kind of shocked at the cost of living increase. So
really, it's that expensive coming from Oklahoma to Arizona?
Well, in 2001, when we were moving out here, you could buy a 3-bedroom house on about half an acre, brand new, for about $85,000. Really? And then we came out here and we found that
same thing's about $500,000.
Yeah. We found that the great salary that was offered to her when she graduated wasn't all that great after all. So, the intention was for me to go back to college and finish up, and then she was going to work, and I ended up having to work, and so I got into accounting, and did pretty well at that. And then, of course, in 11, I was laid off with a group of other people. And I really, I had to find myself again.
Yeah.
And so, I did interviews with other accounting firms, and I came to terms with the fact that, this isn't what I really want to do. I really missed being outside. I really missed working outside and being in different places all the time and meeting people. So I started gardening and was still kind of half-heartedly looking for a job. And with the garden, this is when we were living in Dobson Ranch in an HOA. We had the garden, and then I wanted chickens. So
they tend to be the gateway drug into what we do here.
Yeah. So I got we got 4 chickens and built a stealth coop. Basically, if somebody looked over the fence, it was a playhouse.
Nice.
It looked exactly like a kid's playhouse, but it housed chickens. Anyway, we did that, and then I read, I wanted my garden to really thrive, so I thought about pollinators, and I wanted to bring bees into it. My wife, her family came from a long generation of beekeepers back in the Midwest in Nebraska, and she and I've had discussions as we were dating about how interesting bees are and how fascinating they are, and I kind of thought about that, and then I read online that you could actually build a swarm trap, and so I built this box and hung it in my tree. Followed all the directions, and everybody online is saying, well, there's a very slim to none chance of catching bees in this thing. And I was out about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, about 5 days after I put that thing up in my tree, and I watched a swarm move in.
Oh, wow. You actually witnessed it happen?
I watched it move in, and I was scared to death because I built this thing. I invited them there.
If you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
No, go away, please.
So I invited them there. I had no bee suit. I had no smoker. I had no knowledge of keeping bees at all. And now I had this problem sitting in my pine tree.
Now what?
Exactly. So, my wife and I decided very quickly that Dobson Ranch isn't a good place to keep bees. And then we didn't even have to pull the bylaws. We knew that we wouldn't be able to keep bees there.
Oh, man.
So the decision was made to go on Craigslist and just post a posting. Hey, I would like to keep my bees. I'm looking for a place to foster my bees. So luckily, one of the descendants of the Riggs family from Chandler called me up, and she said, I've got about 18 acres of mesquite. You're welcome to bring down your bees.
Oh, yeah.
And so I brought them down, and while we were there, she said, I happen to have a couple more beehives, and you're welcome to them. And she pointed them out, and they were actually living inside her houses that she had on the property. And she gave me the go-ahead to go ahead and take them out and rehive them. And that kind of lit the fire. And
well, yeah, now you've got 3 colonies going.
Exactly. And then, if you're a good beekeeper, they're going to double. And then that's going to double. And then
how long does that take to happen?
It really depends. If you've got a good, strong colony and you hive them and they're in a good spot where there's a lot of forage available to them, then when things are up and running, that queen will lay 1,200 to 1,500 eggs a day.
Ooh.
And then your hive every 3 weeks has potential to double in size. And so if the conditions are right and you're doing things properly, you can really grow one hive and have to divide it pretty quickly.
So I guess we're kind of running out of time for this section of the show.
Okay.
But we've got Dan Punch on here with Punch Honey Bee Company, and you're listening to Independent Talk 1100 KFNX, and this is the We Grow Ours show. If you want to get online, go to WeGrowOurs.com. Check out all of the podcasts that we've done before. I think there's 54 of them up there right now. We're on like number 55, 56, somewhere in that range. But stay with us. Join us right after the break. Thanks.
A list of scary things. The IRS, paying taxes, no cash flow, no deductions, paying more than you need to. Want to know how to fix those scary things? Call Shauna, your tax goddess, at 602-357-3275 or visit us at taxgoddess.com. Shauna is an expert in all sorts of tax issues, from business taxes to real estate investments, fix and flips, short sales, cash flowing, and LLCs. If you want to make sure that you are in the best possible position, paying the lowest taxes, then call Shauna, your tax goddess, at 602-357-3275. If you've been getting calls from the IRS or are worried about foreclosures or short sales, then you need a professional, someone who can put your worries to rest and take on the world for you. At our website, taxgoddess.com, you can see video testimonials from current clients who are thrilled with the services they have received. So make sure you're getting top service and the lowest tax bills possible. Call today, 602-357-3275, or visit www.taxgoddess.com.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug-out bag with Nature's Alternative Essential Oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostilehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show.
Welcome back to We Grow Our Show. We're talking bees, rabbits, and everything in between. Before we get back into the interview with Dan Punch here, last show we made reference to Don and I of the We Grow Our Show. We're actually teaming up with Halo Development. They are a building company, and they'll be handling a lot of our projects, actually all of our projects that require building structures, things like that, because yes, I have framing background, yes, I can build buildings, and no, I don't want to swing a hammer anymore. You know, there's a progression to life, and you know, Dan here was talking about how, you know, he lost his job in banking in accounting and moved on to something that he loves. Well, I'm kind of heading that direction, and I framed for a while, and I got to tell you, I don't like it anymore. So if I'm building a building, it's not because I want to. So these guys, Halo Development, awesome folks. They've got over 20 years experience in the industry, and a number that you can contact them if you've got either a small project, a remodel, or you want to build a new house is 602-403-3721. Give them a call and let them know what you want to do. They'll get together, and they won't steer you wrong. So, excuse me, back to the meat and potatoes of the show. We've got Dan Punch here with Punch Honey Bee Company. I will remember this eventually. Every time I look at the card, you can contact him. Let's see. Can I put your email address out on the air?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Or what was the better? The phone number better or the email address?
The phone number's good. But a lot of times I can't answer it because
You're in a bee suit.
I'm in a bee suit,
smoke gun
covered
in
with
hand.
bees, and text message works great on the cell phone, and that's 480-298-7983, or email works at azhoneybz@gmail.com, and then
Very clever.
and then. Yeah, it's like my license plate on my truck. And then
Nice.
we do have a website, www.azhoneybees.com.
Oh, I like it. Now, before the break, we were talking about... Totally lost it.
Collecting my first swarm.
There we go.
Yes.
See, it's a good thing you're here and know what's going on. Hairbrain over here. Hairbrain, get it?
Rabbit. Yeah, got it.
All right.
So
you got 3 hives going then, or 3 colonies, I guess.
Exactly. And then there is a local beekeeping group out of Central Phoenix. They meet the third Thursday of every month at Encanto Park at their garden center, 7 p.m. And it's called BACA, and it's the Beekeepers Association of Central Arizona. And I joined and met some good people there and gleaned some information from them. And then I found that I still needed when somebody wants to become a beekeeper, they really need somebody to mentor them. You
need a good coach.
Exactly, and there's a lot of things that the bees will be doing, and if you can't recognize it right away, it could cause a problem down the road. So it's best to find somebody that you can work alongside with and go through their hives with them and have them go through your hives with you, and they can point things out that you probably wouldn't notice. So I wasn't able to find somebody that was close enough to me, so I started doing a search. And
well, your wife, right? I mean,
oh yeah, she
nothing like getting advice from the wifey. So you turned red there, so I put you on the spot.
Well, yeah, she's very supportive.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
This is when you say thanks, honey, and we'll drop the subject.
Yeah. You know, she's there 100% now,
okay.
But it was really hard to sell the idea of not going and working a 9 to 5 anymshe doing this.
I'm with you.
So she's my other half, and she does my books with me and participates a lot in what we do now. But in the beginning, it was kind of, I was on my own.
I can only imagine that first conversation. Listen, honey, I'm just gonna go raise bees for a living. How's that sound?
I think what the conversation was you were supposed to go in for an interview today, and then I found a picture of you on Facebook wearing a bee suit. Yes, but I can feel it that my life is going in this direction. So anyway, I'm tenacious, and I found a mentor, and I didn't know it, and they really didn't. They don't advertise it very much, but Arizona State University has a honeybee research lab in the Phoenix area, and in fact, it's out on their east campus.
Is it the Red Mountain campus, or is that?
No, it's the one over by Gateway Airport.
Okay, yeah, that's Polytech. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense. Okay,
and so I read a couple of things that yes, indeed, there was one there, and I could not find an address or anything. So after zeroing in on all the campus on Google Earth, I actually saw beehive boxes, and I drove to that location. And
you satellite stalked them. Good for you.
And then I showed up unannounced, and I said, here, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to learn. And the professor that was in charge of the bee facility over there, his name is Dr. Osman Kaftanoglu. He said,
wow, that's a mouthful.
He's from Turkey. And,
okay.
Yeah, that's his name.
I like it.
So he said, you will come here and do some volunteer work, and in exchange, I will teach you how to become a beekeeper. And that transitioned into a full-time job, and eventually I was the person that took care of the bees for the bee facility there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I did that about a year and a half. In the meantime, I was moonlighting and pulling swarms and cutting beehives, established beehives out of houses and businesses all over the valley, and then kind of doing my thing. And
Now, here's a question, not to throw off the groove that we're in, but you say you're cutting it out, an established beehive, you're cutting it out of a business or a home or somewhere where the bees have moved in and they're not exactly welcome. Can you then use that beehive that they made and plug that into?
Exactly.
Really?
People will call me. Sometimes nowadays people will call me and they'll say, hey, I need to get rid of this beehive. Can you come out and kill them? And that's something that we don't do. We absolutely don't do it. We will come out and look at the hive and find out how big it is and determine what it would cost to take it out and then put your house back together. And then, we use the bees. We grow them. We've got agreements with farmers all over the valley. And if you're in Peoria, I've got Peoria farms where I can take them so they don't die in the back of my truck.
Oh, nice.
But we have no interest in doing any extermination work at all. So if it comes,
the bees are having a hard enough time without us, and they just want to keep doing what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and bees are survivors, and the honeybees that we deal with, the feral bees here, are strong survivors, and part of the reason why they are able to survive is they are able to get into places that are hard to access and that they can defend. And so attics, water meter boxes, valve boxes, things like that, those are common places for bees to go. I've got a way to pull them out.
Pull them out, yeah.
Over at ASU, part of the research is they actually kept Africanized bees there because they needed to study them. And so I know how they behave, I know how to deal with them, and I know how to work with them. And if they're inside a house, that's not a problem. We still pull those out too.
Now I'm glad that you brought up the Africanized bees, because that's a ding word that the news stations use. Oh, there was an Africanized bee colony outside of a school, and 3 dogs died, and a person's hospitalized. Yep. That's a scary,
Well, people will tune into that. If they know that there's going to be a full story on it at 10. I believe there was somebody sent me a message about something this morning. There was a bee attack.
Oh, really?
Someplace, but I know nothing of the details.
They should have called Dan Punch.
They should have. Yes.
So, what exactly? So let's talk Africanized bees, because that is a ding word, and that is something that our listeners be interested in. Are they just out to kill, or are they just, what makes them Africanized? Why are they so scary compared to your regular honeybee, other than the really cool name?
Well, genetically, they are very, very similar to the European honeybee. And honestly, the only thing that you would be able to really tell their difference between the European honeybee is by doing a DNA test. They're both Apis mellifera, and it's just a different strain. But from the looks, they look the same. Their hives are the same. They do almost everything the same, except the Africanized bee does it a little more intensely. So they
faster, bigger, stronger.
They build fast. They forage fast. They defend their hives with abundance. It's basically if you took a regular kid and a hyperactive kid, then the Africanized bees are the really, really hyperactive. But that being said, I've worked with European bees that are just as nasty as a lot of the Africanized.
Okay. Well, we're got to go to a break real quick, but the number here is 602-277-KFNX or 5369. Call up and talk to Dan if you've got any questions. We'll put old Dan on the spot here.
I'm Laura Ingram, and lucky you because you are tuned into the 50,000-watt powerhouse. Independent talk, 1100 KFNX. Listen to me weekdays at 6 a.m.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Ken Stevens.
Get over your temper tantrum, Mr. President.
Arizona Republican Senator John McCain saying President Obama is taking politics a little too personally.
It's time that we work together with our Israeli friends and try to stem this tide of ISIS and Iranian movement throughout the region.
McCain on CNN State of the Union also saying Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's pre-election rhetoric on Palestinian statehood should be taken with a grain of salt. But more signs of strained relations between the leaders of U.S. and Israel. More on that from the Blaze Radio's Chris Barnes in Washington.
We take him at his word when he said that it wouldn't happen during his prime ministership.
That's President Obama referring to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's remarks just before his re-election that an independent Palestinian state will never happen as long as Netanyahu's in office. Now, Netanyahu has since clarified he's not ruling it out if conditions in the region improve. However, speaking to the Huffington Post, President Obama says,
I indicated to him that given his statements prior to the election, it is going to be hard to find a path where people are seriously believing that negotiations are possible.
Obama referring to the belated congratulatory phone call he places to Netanyahu last Thursday. In Washington, I'm Chris Barnes, The Blaze News.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz getting ready to announce his presidential run in 2016. The Blaze Radio's Kay Long has reaction.
Another potential candidate on the Republican ticket, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
I think for Republican voters and for Americans in general, it's great to have many excellent choices.
Walker going on to say Americans want someone new in the White House.
Voters tell me overwhelmingly they want a new, fresh face. If we're going to take on someone from the past, in former Secretary of State Clinton, we need a face from the future.
Walker on Fox and Friends on Fox News.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network. Truth lives here.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center for this afternoon, we'll have sunny skies to wrap up the weekend with a high of 80. Unity partly cloudy overnight, a low 57. Monday should be sunny. Again, our high near 80. Skies will continue to be clear Monday night with a low 56. Tuesday, we'll have a sunny, warm day with a high near 80. I'm Rod Tanner from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 86 degrees.
A list of scary things. The IRS, paying taxes, no cash flow, no deductions, paying more than you need to. Want to know how to fix those scary things? Call Shauna, your tax goddess, at 602-357-3275 or visit us at taxgoddess.com. Shauna is an expert in all sorts of tax issues, from business taxes to real estate investments, fix and flips, short sales, cash flowing, and LLCs. If you want to make sure that you are in the best possible position, paying the lowest taxes, then call Shauna, your tax goddess, at 602-357-3275. If you've been getting calls from the IRS or are worried about foreclosures or short sales, then you need a professional, someone who can put your worries to rest and take on the world for you. At our website, taxgoddess.com, you can see video testimonials from current clients who are thrilled with the services they have received. So make sure you're getting top service and the lowest tax bills possible. Call today, 602-357-3275, or visit www.taxgoddess.com.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug-out bag with nature's alternative, essential oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostlehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show.
Welcome back to the We Grow Our Show. We're missing half of the dynamic duo that is the We Grow Our Show, but we have an in-studio guest, and I'd say that's even better. Sorry, Don, if you're listening. But we've got Dan in. Same amount of letters, almost the same name, just one vowel off.
Yeah,
so
it's just really easy to phase him out and me right in.
Oh, there you go, Don. You've been replaced. Oh, just kidding. Well, we've got Dan Punch in with Punch Honeybee Company, and he's been filling us in. He's been giving us the buzz on bees. See, I went there. I had to. Super cheesy, but it works. So, anyway, before the break, I told you guys you're welcome to call in. It's 602-277-5369. Have somebody call up and ask about the we'll just go ahead and have you give the contact information again if you could.
Okay. Can reach me most times on my cell phone. That's 480-298-7983. Voicemail works if I don't answer, or send me a text message there. You can visit our website at www.azhoneybz.com, or send us an email at azhoneybz.com or at gmail.com.
Yep.
And then if you do the Facebook thing, you can search Facebook for Punch Honeybee Company, or you can key in facebook.com/my beekeeper.
Oh, cool. Now, I've been on your page a couple of times. You got some cool videos. I love that. Which one was it last time? The queen being was it the queen being born, or what's the?
Oh, the worker bee emerging.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. They're just fascinating little critters, and rabbits are my one true love here. But I think I'm going to have to take a venture into the stinging possibilities with bees.
Well, it's something that here in Arizona it should be approached with a serious.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just throw a beehive box in your backyard here.
Okay.
We do have the Africanized bee here, and I get calls from people that want to do beekeeping,
mm-hmm.
and they will place a beehive in their backyard and try to learn on their own, and then their bees become too hot to work with, and then I get calls from people that just say, here, come get my bees and take them
mm-hmm.
someplace. I can't do it anymore. The thing that I would recommend to anybody that's interested in keeping bees is to find somebody that's going to mentor you
mm-hmm.
and help you with things. And there's tricks that I learned that I do with my hives that allow me to know where they're going to be going. People say that Africanized bees take over a hive. They don't. What happens is you've got a nice docile hive, and the hive determines that the queen isn't laying enough, or something's wrong with the queen. And so what they'll do is they'll start making a new queen. And so you've got this nice
dissension in the ranks.
Exactly.
Wow.
They basically do a supersedure, and that's what we call it, a supersedure. So you can have a nice, gentle hive, and that new queen will emerge and kill the existing one, and then she'll fly
like
out.
A straight up queen battle.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
You have footage of this? That just sounds awesome.
Not yet. But a lot of times the hive will kill the queen before the new one emerges. There's a lot of things that come into play, but what that leaves is you've got a virgin queen that mm-hmm. is of European descent, and she's got to go out and mate. And what we have here in the feral population is Africanized bees. So that virgin queen will go out and mate, and she'll mate with 20 to 25 male drone bees at one time, and that's all she'll ever do her entire life. And then she'll come back and start laying eggs. And the chances of her encountering only European male drone bees during they call it the nuptial flight, during the nuptial flight, and mating with only European bees are slim to none. And so when she comes back and starts laying those eggs, then the hive can transition. And so that's what happens a lot. Amateur or younger or new beekeepers will sometimes accidentally crush the queen, and then in an emergency the hive will make a new queen, and that'll happen. Sometimes something will happen to the queen. Sometimes they just don't like her offspring. So what they'll do is they'll make new queens.
Wow.
So there's ways for me as a beekeeper, for me to stay on top of that, one is that I mark my queens, and then I also clip their wings so they can't fly away, and I can control that. But if I go in and I notice that my hive is a little more aggressive than it was the previous week or the 2 weeks before, I make note of it, and then I watch their temperament. I'll probably come back and check it in a few days, and if it's still starting to be a little defensive, then I'll go in and I'll find that queen. And if it's not the queen that I put in there, I will know because it doesn't have a paint mark on it. And if it's a different queen, then I know I've got a problem, and I've got to relocate that hive someplace where it's not going to be a bother to people.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that we're not, let's see, what's the word for it? This isn't something that you just want to jump right into. There is a company that just came out with a little keg tapper that goes on the side of a hive.
The flow hive. Yes.
They're being very successful, and they're making progress. They're making some money, and it's really stimulating a lot of people to get into keeping bees. So I don't want to say they've got a bad product, but they're not saying enough about going and learning how to get into this.
And yeah, if I took care of some bees and checked some beehives when we were out in California just a couple months ago, and we could open up those hives and wore no protection at all, no mask, no smoke, no nothing, and we were just playing with their bees.
Wow.
Can't do that with these bees here. You just can't. And the thing is from what I read, I haven't checked on it in a while, but when it first was announced, people were sending me emails about this flow hive, so I had to go look at it. And basically their gist is you don't have to disturb the bees when you're harvesting the honey. All you do is give it a twist, and it'll come out like a tap. And that's fine, but you still have to go in. You still have to make sure that queen that you put in there is the one that's in there. You still have to go make sure that nothing's going wrong with your hive. You don't have moths invading or mites or fungus or anything else. You still have to stay on top of that. So the flow hive is great when you come to harvest, but that doesn't mean that you can't stop taking care of your bees. And harvesting honey is basically a byproduct of keeping bees. And so
that's an interesting way of putting it. I like that. Looks like we do have a caller that's called in.
Okay.
We've got Terry from Snowflake. Terry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, how are you guys?
Oh, we're doing all right. How are you doing today?
Good, great. I just had a question for the beekeeper.
Okay.
And my question is, the next thing we're going to do here is we're looking at setting up bee boxes. However, how far can those bees travel to get pollen back to the hive?
They can forage between 3 and 5 miles. So basically what I would do is I would look at you could go onto Google and look at a satellite view of your property where you're going to keep bees, and just draw a 3-mile circle. And that's basically where the forage area is for your bees. When it gets hotter, of course, they're not going to fly as far, but up in Snowflake, I don't think you have the temperatures that we endure down here.
No.
But the most important thing is once they're established, you really want to keep a reliable water source close to the hive. And as long as they have a reliable water source, then they will thrive. Even in times of dearth, when things aren't blooming, they'll be able to survive off of what they've stored in their hive. But
I gotcha. Okay, great.
But yeah, during the heat, they'll bring in 1/4 of a gallon of water per hive a day.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I have a water tank with fish in it that I got from Walmart, and it's a pretty big tank. I keep it full all the time, and I just put a board in there every summer that floats around, and the bees land on that board.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to say,
and
just put
drink.
some floaties in.
I don't know where they come from. I don't have a hive here. I don't know where they come from, but they're here.
Well, good. Well, they've deemed your water source a good, reliable one.
Right.
Well, thank you, Kerry. Appreciate you calling in. Next up, we'll be talking a little bit more with Dan Punch. We are Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, the We Grow Our Show.
Do you want to make money and pay no tax? Do you want an aggressive, knowledgeable tax CPA in your court? Do you need expert advice concerning your short sale? If you are looking at becoming a real estate mogul or even just beginning in real estate, it is important to have someone on your side whose clients call her a tax goddess. Call Shauna, your tax goddess, at 602-357-3275 or visit our website at www.taxgoddess.com. Call me today and let me fight for your bottom line.
Things just got real. The drugstore is closed and the doctor is unavailable. What are you going to do? Stock your medicine cabinet and bug-out bag with nature's alternative, essential oils. Visit mylavenderlife.com for all your essential oil needs.
What will you do when your stored supplies run out? Are you prepared? Hostile Hair provides equipment and education you need to control your own infinite food supply. We have live food storage systems for rabbits, quail, and other urban livestock for any situation and strategy. Don't be limited by what's on the shelves. Get started with an infinite food source today. Get prepped, stay fed with Hostile Hair. Call 480-331-3761, 480-331-3761, or visit hostlehair.com.
Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we've got Dan Punch with Punch Honeybee Company on, well, not even on the phone. He's in studio. No Don today, but we got Dan, so that works out pretty good. And we're talking about amateurs, how to get into honeybee raising. And we talked a little bit about the flow hive. I think it's a great concept, but there needs to be a little bit of advice given alongside of that. You need to know what the heck you're doing, and it's not a set it and forget it hobby.
Correct. Yeah, the main thing is if you want to keep bees, you are a beekeeper. Mm-hmm. You're not a bee placer and coming out and harvesting honey every now and then. You actually have to go in and manipulate your bees, and you have to work them. And so, yeah, the flow hive, I have not seen one. I have not touched one, but from the descriptions that I've read about them, it's a great idea. I'd be willing to take one and try it out. But
well, for like $695, you can be the proud owner of one of those hives. So, what does a standard hive cost, anyways? Just a regular box.
Just a regular box. You're looking at about $20 for an assembled box, and then you need a top and a bottom. Those are about $13 and $8. So $20, $30, almost $40 there, and then you have to put frames inside them, and those are about $2.25 a piece. Your frames, you need at least 9 of them for your box, and then if you're going to be growing, which your bees will do naturally, you'll need another box with another set of 9 frames, and then you'll need another box on top of that for any honey. So you can it adds up pretty fast. So
are all those boxes connected then, or how does that work?
You stack them on top of one another, and then the bees will actually go in and seal them. So
really?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I guess it makes sense that they would actually, make better their environment and build a house.
Yep. They seal the drafts. If it's large enough, they'll build honeycomb there. If it's too small, then they'll seal it up.
And they just use like a beeswax then, or what do they
beeswax,
stuff in there?
They also use something that's called propolis.
Propolis.
Yeah, they harvest saps from trees and then manipulate that and then shove it in cracks and things like that. Some people will eat the propolis because it's high in vitamins and everything else.
Well, it's just so crazy that you've got this organism that's the size of your fingernail, and I mean, I should say the whole thing acts as an organism, right?
Correct.
The entire colony becomes of a like mind.
Hive mind. Yes.
Hive mind.
Kind of like if you're into Star Trek, the Borg.
The Borg.
The Borg.
This is when I wish I would have nerded out a little bit more. I love. See, it's weird. I'm like a Dungeons and Dragons nerd that never played Dungeons and Dragons. The same thing with Star Trek and Star Wars. I love all of that stuff, but I just never got into it completely.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm missing out. I need to just what do you call it? Binge watch a bunch of Star Trek stuff.
Yep, just do a marathon. But basically they do everything for the collective. So bees, a lot of people like to anthropomorphize bees and give them human traits and personalities so that they can better understand the bees. But bees are basically like little robots, and if you do something, they react. And if you're going to go disturb the hive, their first reaction is to defend the hive. If you kill their queen, their reaction is to replace the queen. So they do everything kind of as a unit.
That makes sense. Just self-preservation, not so much self-preservation, but hive preservation.
Correct. And even if in the event that their queen dies and they make a new queen and she flies out and gets eaten by a bird, they have no more queen. They have no more eggs from that queen to make a new queen. So what happens is the hive will die. Definitely will die. But before it dies, because there's no queen in there, there's no queen pheromone blowing around, and because all of the worker bees are female, some of their ovaries will develop. And what they will do is they'll start laying infertile eggs. And what the infertile eggs do is they emerge as male bees. So those male bees from that hive will go mate with other queens from other hives to carry on the genetics of that hive that died.
Wow, that is cool.
It's fascinating. Yeah. Absolutely fascinating.
So off the air, we were talking a little bit about swarming. In fact, my co-host, he wanted to ask a question. He said that he wanted to ask about swarms. Why do they do it? And we've talked a little bit about hive splitting, and then also moving on. So what would cause an established hive to just be like, well, I'm out of here?
Well, that would be absconding, where they just abscond from where they are. There's a few things that would cause them to do that, but a swarm is, say you've got a nice, robust hive, and you've got it inside. We're just going to use it from a beekeeper's point of view, but this happens inside trees and people's attics and everything else. They get too crowded, and they determine that in order for them to continue, they need to reduce their numbers. So what they do is they start making new queens. And we go back to that old queen that's in there knows that she's going to be killed if she stays there. So she will leave, and half of the bees will just gorge themselves on honey and fill up on honey, and they will go with her. And then they'll go rest in a tree. And that's your swarm. So it's the original queen with half of the colony that just
the loyalists.
Yeah, they left, and they left the other half there with their new virgin queen that's going to emerge. So you've got basically it's split in half like a cell does. And then so the existing swarm is hanging in a tree, and you'll see a lot of activity coming and going. And what it is there are scout bees going in all directions, looking for the proper place to house that hive. And once they find it, they will basically vote and go in mass to wherever it is that they've decided to go to.
Vote.
Yeah, basically, one scout bee finds a prime location, another scout bee finds a good location, and depending on how well they dance, they will recruit more bees to go look at this. And then basically it's more bees like this than this, so we're going to this. And it's really interesting to watch them. But I do want to say, when bees are swarming, even your Africanized bees, even your highly aggressive bees, they're in their most gentle state that they're ever going to be in. My 6-year-old son, well, he just turned 7, has come and shaken swarms with me out of trees into boxes and placed them out on our farms. They're basically, when they're in a swarm state, like I said, they've gorged themselves on honey, so they're fat. It's hard.
I can relate. Okay.
It's hard for them to actually bend their bodies to insert a stinger. And basically what you see in that ball of bees is that entire colony. It's got the queen, it's got a few male bees, and the rest are worker bees. And their job is to find a new place to go and start, because they gorged on honey, they need that honey to make wax. Wax is where they make the comb so the queen can start laying her eggs. Their job is to find a place and get there fast and start making wax so that queen can start laying. They know that if they sting, they're going to die, and so they would prefer just to kind of hang out,
not dying,
and
is
rest.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, and rest, and then go on their merry way. So they're in kind of a survival state. There's nothing for them to They dance. Basically, there's a thing called a Waggle Dance, and it's really elaborate. But basically, they can tell you where something is, how far it is, in relation to the sun, where it is, and with pretty good accuracy, they can send other bees to where they just were, based on how many turns they do or how aggressively they shake their tail.
And see, that to me testifies how small something is, how small actual intelligence is. You know, this kind of a weird thought, but if you close your eyes and you touch your nose is not you, but you're in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The master puppet that is controlling your entire body does not have to be the whole size of your brain. You know, there's something that's that small can relay that much information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, pretty cool. But yeah, I meant to ask a little bit more about the dancing, but we moved along there.
Okay. Yeah, they just and same thing when they find food, and they want to let the rest of the bees know, hey, there's a great source of nectar out here. They'll come back and they call it the Waggle Dance, and they recruit more foragers to go after that food source.
Wow. These are such impressive little boogers. Now, I'm looking at like 12 jars of honey here. We've got the sticks out. I don't know. Do we have time to? We've got about 4 minutes. I need to know a little bit about this. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh, we've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, just to briefly hit on this, all of this honey comes from bees that we've rescued. All of our bees that we rescue, we place out on farms, we grow them, and eventually we will harvest their honey. Because we use feral bees, those are survival bees versus the commercially grown bees, we don't have to use any antibiotics in our hives. We don't have to use any medications or anything else, fungicides, miticides, or anything like that.
Nice.
So the honey that we produce is exactly how the bees intended for it. And because of where the hives were placed and what was blooming at the time and the timing of our harvest, it determines the taste and the coloring of the honey. But all of our honey is raw. We don't process it. We don't heat it. We don't pasteurize it. So it's all going to be very thick.
Oh, he's got it upside down and nothing's coming out. That's amazing.
And that's your typical trait of a raw honey is it will crystallize. Now, you can always heat it. Just don't get it above 120 degrees. Otherwise, you kill out all the beneficial enzymes and bacteria and pollens in there.
Nice.
Somebody told me...
What is this one that I'm getting here?
This one is Tempe White.
All right.
I think that's got a caramelly taste to it, salty sweet.
Man, that's good. Holy cow, that's good.
Let's see. This is...
1 minute closing. Well,
Okay.
maybe we'll do a video out in the parking lot or something here. We'll make it real official for
good.
Facebook. There you go. Why don't we do that? We'll have a little bit more of a recording that won't be awesome as the KFNX studios, but we'll get something on Facebook. So go to facebook.com, /We Grow Ours, and like the page, of course. But, yeah, this is an awesome. Anytime I get sugar, I'm happy. So this is the best show ever. Sorry, Don, you totally missed out. Anyway, join us next week, same time, and we'll have a good one. You too. Bye.